I'm Amy Cherry. This local news is a service of Flagler County's Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota, here to wow ya.
City Lane misrepresented the facts around the city and Coastal Cloud's relationship.
That's what Tim Hale, co-owner of Coastal Cloud, is saying about a recent editorial run by the Palm Coast Observer. It was written by the city's former communications manager, Cindy Lane, who resigned last year. In Beware the Tricky Relationship Between Palm Coast and Coastal Cloud, Lane attacks the tech company which employs Palm Coast Mayor Melissa Holland. Hale, who spoke at Tuesday's city council meeting, was livid.
The representation was printed and promoted by the Observer and shared across social media channels. It recklessly damaged the reputation of Coastal Cloud. That's a big freaking deal to us and all the jobs of the people we create here. And people need to be held accountable for it. We can't just ignore it.
In the op-ed, Lane claims the city's usage of Coastal Cloud's app Palm Coast Connect, which was in development at the time, was far from free as touted. She says the app, which lets citizens report problems and ask for services from the city, cost the city more than $100,000 in licensing fees, plus a full-time staffer to support the system. Lane says now the app costs as much as 4 times annually what the city could have paid for an existing app. In comments posted under the editorial, Hale attempts to set the record straight. He says no money was ever exchanged between the city and Coastal Cloud. And Lane is lying.
We've gotten zero compensation from the city, and we've invested over $320,000 in this thing so far. The licenses are not more expensive.
Mayor Holland also refutes Lane's claims that the city was working on other solutions, but went with Coastal Cloud because the mayor works there.
The record doesn't support that. It just doesn't. I mean, unless they were working outside the sunshine, which would be not appropriate, right? Unless that was happening and for some reason only a small group of people internally knew that was going on in our city.
Palm Coast Observer's editor, Brian McMillan, says he believes the concerns are based on miscommunications on both sides.
Perhaps what Mr. McMillan was correct about is the culture was not a good one, not a healthy one. And to that point, I would agree. If that was going on and there were other things and other solutions that were being worked on simultaneously and were not disclosed, I would have welcomed those options presented to this council. I would have loved to be able to look at the other solutions, but the fact of the matter is there was nothing in the budget that was indicating there were other solutions being worked on. There was absolutely no email correspondence that there were other solutions being worked on. They weren't speaking to other companies. And to me, that concludes that rewriting of history and that narrative that they were hoping would work. Mr. McMillan did his due diligence and found nothing, and so hopefully that concludes this.
McMillan notes the decision to go with Palm Coast Connect was not a unilateral one made by the mayor. It was voted on by all of council, and Holland says she abstained from any votes involving her employer. Despite pointing the finger at miscommunications, McMillan stands by his decision to publish the editorial. Flagler County health officials say they're prepared to deal with an outbreak of coronavirus. John Arking reports.
A collaborative pandemic working group has been created by the county to deal with the specific strain of coronavirus, COVID-19, that's now in the U.S., with several presumptive cases in Florida. However, Bob Snyder, administrator of the Flagler Health Department, told commissioners Monday they are now able to test for the virus.
Test kits are now available. 3 labs in the state of Florida, our public health labs in Miami, Jacksonville, and Tampa can now do the testing for COVID-19. We would do the swabbing, or a healthcare provider would do the swabbing, and then we'd be taking the swab specimens to one of our 3 labs here in Florida. And that was not the case until this weekend.
Snyder said while COVID-19 has a higher mortality rate than most flu-like viruses, it is still less than 2%, while 80% of individuals who become infected report either no symptoms or just mild symptoms. He emphasized protective measures like hand washing with soap for at least 20 seconds and avoiding touching your hands to your eyes, mouth, and nose. It was also noted that people who are not feeling well should stay home from work and or school, especially if they're showing a fever. If the symptoms persist, they should contact their doctor. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm John Erking.
What to do about the noise at the airport?
Palm Coast City Council member Colonel Jack Howell says there could be a compromise that will please many.
I think the hours that we would do the touch and goes. I don't see any need for doing touch and goes when the sun goes down.
The aviator said that pilots who do touch and goes either have the skill or they don't, and that the maneuver can be curtailed at night. Howell said that would help eliminate some of the noise at the airport. To listen to the entire interview, which is not noisy, download the Flagler radio app and then go to the Free for All Friday podcast. Tomorrow and Friday, city officials put their 2 cents worth in on dollar stores. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm Deb Albertson.
A grant from Target will help provide equipment necessary to locate missing adults or children with special needs or disabilities. Tony Magoo has the details.
The program is called Safe Track, and through a $5,000 grant from Target, the Flagler County Sheriff's Office now has the equipment necessary to find people who might wander off. With us is Shannon Martin, the Public Affairs Officer with the Flagler County Sheriff's Office. Shannon, who is Safe Track designed to help?
Adults or children living in the home with them who have special needs or neurological disorders. This is a type of bracelet that will monitor their whereabouts.
On the list would be dementia, Alzheimer's disease, traumatic brain injury, stroke, autism, or similar conditions.
We will come out to your home, we'll install the system, we'll give whoever the guardian of the person who's going to be wearing the bracelet training on how to use it. We're hoping this is going to be a really effective tool to help keep track of people who have diminished capabilities.
For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Tony Magoo.
And now you're up to date on Flagler's Morning News. I'm Amy Cherry.